Greetings, everyone. Dr. Annette West, Publishing Pusher here. Thanks for joining me in the Jet Name Publishing, talking all things books. Yes, the operative words, all things. I'm excited you're here. You listen in, share your thoughts. You don't have to be live on the screen to be able to talk. And I want you to know your success is my business. I'm here to assist you, support, empower, inspire as we pull out those thoughts to get these books accomplished. Thanks again for joining me. Well, hello, everyone. It's another beautiful day that we are here in the Talking All Things Books. You know, we just dialogue a little bit, and then I will be sharing a bit today, continuing the discussion on our book launch. The last couple of weeks, we talked about the portion of the book launch at the end of our session, and today we will be talking about the launch itself. So far, we have Miss Anna in the room. We never know who's going to pop into the room other than the one that's leading it for sure. How you doing, Miss Anna? Your mic isn't open. There you go.
I'm doing well today. Had an interesting week of preparing a launch for a summer podcast series based on one of my books. And it's been interesting to figure out how to apply what I'm learning here in venues that I've not done that before. I never used my website as a place to promote what I'm doing in terms of online stuff. And working again with Coach Crystal Henry, we recorded our fourth session this past weekend. And it's interesting to watch how other people use the various platforms. And that's why I keep coming back, trying to not only to stay up to date, but to get up to date. So I'm going to hush and listen. Thank you.
I don't know if there's any such thing as totally being up to date, because as soon as we think we got it, there's another learning curve to come along. But of course, we believe that learning helps us to ever evolve. So learning is continuous. So there's always something more that we can learn. I had to almost kick myself today because a very bad thing happened in the publishing world. And I'm going to tell it. So, one of my authors who is in my collaboration, that we know her devotion was done, some way, somehow, it was removed from the book. And I just found out this morning after they just got 50 copies of the book and they are not in it. Well, I was like, okay, Lord, what a way to start this Thursday, but it's going to be all right. So, I guess I will be getting those books back, and I will be using those as giveaways, 50 books, okay? And so it was a rush. Because guess what? Now I have to go back in, put that devotion back in I had to do some research first, okay? Because I'm like, I know this devotion was in this book. This author's name was in the table of contents. I know the author's bio is in the book, and I automatically knew the author's title of the devotion. And sure enough, I go in the book and it's not there. And it's not in the table of contents now. So it reminds me that at some point in the back of my mind, I remember there was a shift in page numbers. And that was it. So, yeah, I had to go back. And thankfully, I had not deleted all the draft copies of the manuscript. So I was able to actually go back and see where her devotion was in the book and where it got removed in a transition. Unfortunately, this is the kind of thing you don't want to happen, but it did happen. It shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. So, guess what? We're doing some cleanup today. So, I had to apologize. I have to get the book revised today. We're in the process of doing that, and it will be submitted tonight for the KDP review again, which we may have to wait 3 days, but we still have time. Thank God we got the books early this time. So, um, yeah, so we could, yeah, shouldn't have been something to catch, but at least it's caught, and she will have her books in advance. She will get her books before the book launch, but this is the kind of thing that we don't want to ever happen. Go ahead, Miss Anna.
But that is one advantage of working with this particular publisher. You can unpublish and republish as needed, and that may not always be the case on other platforms. So, on the one hand, we just say, thank the Lord that you found out early enough to rectify it, and that this particular person is willing to go along with it. And we're going to let you do your show today so you can get back to work and be ready for Thursday.
Well, listen, I have someone working on pulling that together for me and getting everything set up. That's a good thing about having an administrator in hand, um, willing to pay the person to get the work done, so I can continue to do the things that I must do. I just jumped on here at, well, it's been open for 15 minutes, the session 15 minutes before 11, but I was over in the decal25.com looking at the Thursday morning message that I do to make sure the right message was running. So then we were running that, and my clubhouse ladies were listening to the morning message. Then I had to end that so that we could talk for a few minutes before I could jump in here. So Thursday is a very busy day. And since it's already a busy day, I just go ahead, and if I have someone who's asked for a interview for the podcast, I just try to go ahead and do them on Thursday now, one or two, and then that's it. I have actually have my own podcast. That's the Dr. Annette Publishing Pusher podcast, but I'm only running interviews on that podcast. So if I don't have an interview, it's maybe like, instead of every week now, it's like once a month. When I get a new interview, I put it on that podcast. But on the Christian Power Network with Jerry Royce, I have every week something, whether I'm interviewing someone or not. And this Talking All Things Books is actually on the network connected to the Publishing Pusher podcast, so that we're pushing out something every week. Miss Anna, I know that you now have a podcast. Tell us about the podcast that you're doing.
Well, thank you. The podcast that I've decided to try, I won't say I decided, I say I was led to do, we're calling it uh, Anna's Coachup Podcast. The original purpose was to promote my last series about the Robertson family, where I interviewed contributors to that novel. However, having sat in on these talking all things books, I thought, what I'm really is an educator. How can I share what I know about teaching in a way that families can use the books that I've published, but with their young people? And so I contacted Jerry Royce, and he has agreed to host or promote, or I'm not sure the term for it, a web platform where I can share the summer program we're called Keeping Them on Stream. And it's designed to support the children grades 1 through 12 over the summer, to keep them from losing what they learned this past year. But in this case, I asked them to use one of my books that has pictures and paintings, and asked them, as you look at this picture, what does it remind you of that you learned this past school year? And we sort of brought that over from that Rainbow Reminders book where we talked about the stream, and that's what we're using. And in this case, STREAM stands for Science and Social Studies, Technology, Religion and Cultures, English, Arts and Athletics, Music, and Math. And each week, there's a prompt that's linked to a picture, a prompt that's linked to a poem, but the families are asked to ask the students, what did you learn last year that helps you understand this or make sense of this? And we had our launch Tuesday evening where we were there to share with families how they could do this and use this during the summer. So, talking all things books, still talking books, but now on a podcast that Jerry Royce has agreed to contract with me. And that's also something that I learned here. And it's a way that I can share what I know and perhaps sell a couple of books.
I love it, Miss Anna. So, okay, so this sounds like a really, really great podcast. Now, will you be reaching out to summer camps and programs like that to see if they would run this for for their students and activities and things of that nature?
You just happened to ask that. I the church that my brother attends has a preschool program during the school year and a middle school program during the summer. And I'm meeting with the director of that program this afternoon. Yes, I'd like to reach out to groups that work with community uh, programs with young people. Often the kids are there, the teens are there, and not actually sure what to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone on this podcast now has youth groups, vacation Bible school, after school programs, contact me. The podcast will be free. However, there is a book that's available as an ebook or a print book. The print book, of course, is better because the students can flip through the pages. But we already have someone who has donated funds to help fund the cost of the book if there's a group that has young people, young families who may not be able to afford the book. The book's only $20. So that's less than $5 a week. I say one hamburger a week to support kids learning all summer is not too bad. So thanks for asking. Yes, anyone who is interested, contact Dr. West and she will pass it along to me.
Love that. Okay, I was just thinking about the program that my two of my grandkids go to here, and see if I can reach out to the director of that program
Okay.
and let him and get him you get the two of you connected.
Thank you. One thing about it, the director doesn't have to know the answers.
Mm-hmm.
The students tell what they think it means. And if they're not sure, they check it out themselves. And so the
Mm-hmm.
teacher doesn't have to say, yes, you're right, no, you're wrong. And during our presentation, the co-director, Pastor Rachel from a small congregation in Central Ohio, her middle school student did, a daughter did one of the lessons. And we included that on there. And she said, oh, this picture reminds me of the Crucible, which we read in school this year. And then she went on for about a minute talking about how that particular painting reminded her of a novel that she had studied in school. And the lady also tutors. The young lady is in fourth grade, but she's at a first grade level. And she said, we just looked at the picture and thought of words and spelled them phonetically. The student didn't have to have perfect spelling in order to reflect on what she was learning. And so I think this is going to be the value of this particular program using books that we've published.
Love it. All right, this is good, Miss Anna. How long is the segments?
Each segment is 30 minutes.
Okay.
And at this point, we plan to release one segment a week
Mm-hmm.
for 6 weeks.
Okay.
But all of the segments will be available until Labor Day. And so if a family misses one week or is unable to finish one week, uh, you can always go back and look again. It's not a one time only kind of thing. It'll be available. It'll be a repository of learning activities for the family.
Sounds exciting, Miss Anna. Love it, love it, love it. So, everybody, we're supposed to be dialoguing a little bit about the book launch. And as I mentioned, the past couple of weeks, 2, 3 weeks maybe, we were talking about the pre-launch phase. And that was the phase, or that is the phase where you are building your momentum. We talked about, defining your goals and your audience, creating your launch team, building your author platform, gathering the launch team, how to optimize your book for success, setting up your pre orders, securing your book reviews. So, today I want to start talking about the launch phase itself, because this is where you maximize your visibility. And everybody doesn't do book launches. I get excited when I see and hear people doing book launches, and especially book tours, where they are actually having virtual book tours where they've already scheduled before the book came out, different places. Like on TV, you see it on TV, right? On every TV show, you see the same person on there talking about their newest project, their newest book, their newest movie, their newest whatever. And you said, didn't I just see them this morning on that show? And this afternoon they're on this show, and tomorrow they're on that show? Why? That's their tour that they are doing. So if you are willing to put in the time, you can do a tour. Even if you just decide to connect with 10 different groups and do that within a 2 week time span. If you sell just one book at each one of those, guess what? That's 10 books you sold. That's 10 books you had before you started. So just think about that. So when we get to this phase, we're ready to splash, y'all. We ready to splash in the water, okay? Because the pre put us in the water, but now we need to splash it around, okay? And we need to attract more people to what we have available. So what we can do is we can host that virtual or in-person book launch event. Um, in those events, you build excitement, momentum, and you can, if you have collaborative things in your book launch where you're asking people to participate, those are things that a lot of people like to be a part of. Or even if they're sitting there, they want to hear you dialogue with somebody else instead of just talking straight to them. So consider that. Having that launch, inviting people in, asking people questions, having them share their perspective as well. And try to get people who helped you in the pre launch to be available in the launch, because they know your book, they know your content, they've done a review for you, and then they can share in that setting as well. So if you want to do virtual launches, you can create a Zoom, you can put it on all your different platforms, you can invite people in. Um, our newest book, Centered in Christ, it's in the other room, Centered in Christ, Developing My Identity and Self-Worth. We will be having our book launch on 8 March, May. Let me get my months right. May 8th, not May 5th. If y'all saw anything with May 5th, I tried to pull that back, but it will be May 8th, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it will be on Zoom as well. And we are posting that in different places, and we hope that people will come in to hear about the newest volume, which is volume 5 in our Centered in Christ series. So you can do Facebook. You can listen. You can even do Facebook live readings. You can do Instagram live readings. So choose your platforms. Choose your platforms wisely. Let people know in advance. Build that momentum and get people in there. And if only a handful of people show up, it's okay because the content is still available for other people to come in and to listen, to be able to see you on the screen and to listen. The people really do want to see you if at all possible. You can offer a QA session about your book as well. What do people have to say? That's a good thing. You may want to do a giveaway, and that audience participation is one of the greatest things that you can do. Any comments, Miss Anna?
No, this is new to me. The one pre-launch that I did have and the launch out was a dramatic reading of my book at a restaurant. My cousin happens to be an actor and a movie director. In fact, his movie just won some major prizes, so he's busy with that. But he invited some of his actors and actresses to dramatically read. But because the topic was so on the edge, having to do with Christianity and sexuality, there was silence and gasping. And I was invited to be there like I am here. And people didn't have questions at the end. They just wanted to know, why did you publish this particular book? So I've got to figure out a different way of launching a book on a controversial topic. Not stop publishing if that's what I'm led to do. But that is one thing to consider. Some universities have drama departments, and the dramatic students may find having an opportunity to read aloud scenes from a book, poems, or dramatic scenes, a good way to utilize their skills. But I'm listening to this launch information that you've mentioned about doing virtual tours. So once again, I'm going to step back, turn off my mic, and listen.
It's interesting. I'll just say this, Miss Anna, since they did the dramatic reading, that people were, it's taboo. Okay, so it's taboo, and we know how people can be. But the greatest answer is Christians and non Christians are humans, and we deal with the same type of situations. And if we don't discuss those topics, then it stays in the back corner. It stays hidden in the closet. And this is what happens on so many things, not just the topic in the book. I don't even see it as a controversial topic. It's a real topic. It's real life. And probably everybody in that room has been exposed to somebody in some way that had that type of situation happen or knew of it or something. So I would say, if it's what God gave you and you need to share it any way that you possibly can, and always have that answer. When you know your answer, then you know that you're doing what you need to do. And everybody's not going to receive it or be able to receive it because of many traditional perspectives. But that doesn't mean that we don't talk about it and remind people that, I think one of the questions in that book was, WWJD, what would Jesus do? That's still, I mean, that was a hit back in the 90s. People say, well, what would Jesus do? We had the what would Jesus do necklaces, and the what would Jesus do headbands, and the what would Jesus do t-shirts, and the what would Jesus do armbands. But guess what would Jesus do in your heart? What would Jesus do with a right heart in dealing with this situation?
Well, that's one thing I also learned here too about having the books available in different mediums, and was delighted when Kindle Direct Publishing said that they would do an AI oral reading of the whole book. And so that's what I did last week. And there may be people who will listen to the book who may not sit down and talk about the book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I keep saying one thing about coming to this particular program, we're learning different ways to get the books out. And so for some of you, being able to have an audio version of a book that you have published on Kindle Direct Publishing, at this time, it's only your time to upload your book in a flowable version and then request that it be read aloud by one of the AIs. And you can choose the different voices. the age of the voice, the region of the voice, and the gender of the voice.
Love it. Love it. All right. Then another area, focus on virtual launches if you can. Miss Anna talked about, the them reading her work, and that was a virtual, even though she wasn't a reader and she didn't go there to talk about her book, but they did a dramatic reading. And I'm going to tell you, if you ever have the opportunity, even if you think you're not a dramatic person, and someone is looking for people to read, be a part of something like that. I've had the opportunity to read with Miss Anna a few times, and we videoed those, and they're out in social media land, uh, for people to check them out. But it was fun for me. It's not my thing, but it was fun. And when it comes to acting, I think life is an act. And we're all actors in this world. So we can participate in the different things that are available to us. So come up with some ways to connect with some um, in-person launches. Um, Reach out to some bookstores, libraries. Now, at the libraries, you're not going to be able to do book signings. You're not going to be able to sell your book. Well, they might let you sign a book if somebody already bought it before they came in, but you won't be able to offer book signing there or sell books there or on the premises. But if you have that wonderful QR code available to people as you're talking, and say, go ahead and scan that QR code now, because guess what? The good thing about that is if there's any issues with them accessing it, they can let you know before they leave. Hey, so those QR codes are very important. So let us use them. If your church offers the opportunity for you to speak about your book, they may offer it but not let you sell it. That's okay too, because at least you get to talk about it. I was in a church that didn't allow selling in the church, but they allowed me to talk about my book. And you know, so people reached out and got copies. If you have community centers, coffee shops, check into those places. You might be the one, if you can get in at around 11 o'clock, 11:30, when the lunch rush is going on, and you can be up there talking about your thing. People are hearing it, and they don't have a problem with you selling your book. And you may even draw people in, because you're going to do what? You're going to announce to people. You're going to put some flyers out in advance of being there, where you're going to be, what day, what time you're going to be there, and that you will be doing a reading. So, something to think about. And guess what? You can collaborate with other authors and create a panel and talk about your books. And you can also get with other authors and do a virtual tour, as we see. Three ladies came in the other week. What's the name of it, Miss Anna? I can't think. You mentioned them this morning.
I think they said that there's a triple three.
The triple three. So their works are totally different. They are just three women who came together, and now they are doing their virtual tours and some live things as well, as a part of their group environment.
You
So that's
mentioned
wonderful.
you mentioned having a panel of people. One of the things I would encourage you to do strongly is decide on the order that you're going to do the readings and the time. I was on one of those at a restaurant, and I had not practiced the scene that I wanted to do. And it took longer. If I had stopped at the time limit, I would not have gotten to the good point. And I haven't been invited back with this particular team because I overdid it. I was able to get through my scene because they were courteous enough not to stop me. But decide how much time you have, and each author have a certain amount of time, and stay within it, and you'll probably be invited back.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if I thought I wouldn't be invited back, but I thought it was a good environment, I would ask to be invited back. I would ask to be invited back. I would say I was not aware. I did not plan accordingly, and I know my time went over. But if you have the opportunity to invite me again, I will ensure that I will meet the parameters that are set. So don't let us not assume that a closed door is locked.
I've been invited to other settings, but not on this particular one. Had a chance to apologize and have worked with the group again, but not in this particular setting.
Yeah, and listen, when we fall short, just like I told y'all about that book this earlier in the podcast, okay, and the author's name not, not being in the book content, but guess what? We don't stop. We continue on, and we put forth our best effort. So an action step would really be to plan your dates, seek your platforms, and develop your promotional strategy for your book launches and your book tour. I had the opportunity with one group. I mean, we were supposed to go to different countries and stuff, and it was right at COVID. So the book was launched, very good book. The book was launched, but none of those live events were able to take place. And instead of them saying, um, when things, when the world gets back balanced or something, we will see how many of these things we can put in order. The person who actually did the collaboration just moved to another collaboration and forgot about the people who invested in that. And I'm saying this because we never want to burn any bridges. We never know where we're going to need to be again, who we're going to need to be connected to again. So we want to make sure that we always do things decent and orderly and be respectful of the people that we work with. I think I said that right. Comment, Miss Anna.
I'm going to be the mommy here. You have other things to do. We've been on for half an hour. You may want to tidy this up and get to that other project.
Oh, Miss Anna, we are good. We got 10 minutes. We have 10
Okay.
minutes. And the
Okay.
thing about talking launching books is we could talk about this every week.
Correct.
We could talk about this every week. So we're gonna talk about what we talk about, but we're not gonna finish it today, everybody. So just know that. So you're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to come back to get some more. Plus, you want to go and listen to the other sessions that we did the last 2-3 weeks where we actually talked about the pre-launch, because you need to make sure that you are expending the right energy and resources in preparation for the book launch. The next thing I would say, run some promotions if you can. I know we would say, I don't have the money, I don't have the money, I don't have the money. I would say, don't eat out, don't get a coffee, don't do this. You don't need a new outfit. I mean, there are ways that we can tighten up our spending so that we have the resources that we are in need of to run some type of promotion. Because listen, if we don't ever run a promotion, we're not going to reach a broader audience. Now, on a rare occasion, somebody might put your name out there and you get on some massive platform and you blow up and all of a sudden you sell 1 million copies. But that's not the norm, people. That is not the norm. So we want to run some promotions and we want to do some advertising. You can do paid and organic promotion to help boost your book sales. If you're on KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, there's all kind of promotions you can do. If you're on Ingram Sparks, there's promotions you can do. You can reach out to a promotion firm if you want, and they'll do the work for you. Um, but listen, you can run Amazon ads. I've not been successful with Amazon ads, but you can run them on keywords, targeted ads to reach, book buyers. Um, you can, maybe you are in some book groups that allow you publicizing your content, or every so often they allow promoting. Just stay within their parameters. They may say you may um, post a picture of the book and a little blurb, but you can't use your direct link for somebody to go to it to pay for it. They have to go and find it or reach out to you. And that's fine. So you have to pay attention to the groups that you are in to see what their guidelines are and stay within their guidelines. But you can run Amazon ads, like I said. You can run Facebook and Instagram ads as well and target your ideal audience. You're going to have to, learn about their interests and their demographics, which is something that as book writers we have to do early in our writing process, or even sometimes before we pen the first word we may have to make that determination. But there's also BookBub, and there are other discount platforms out there that offer limited time discounts to attract offers. I think I have some information on BookBub in my publishing notebook. And so an action step would be to set a small budget for ads and test different headlines and images. You don't want to do anything big because you don't know if it's going to be a success. I tried to run ads on Amazon. It nothing happened. They gave me my money back. At least I got my money back, okay? So that means I didn't do something right in setting up my parameters, and I just didn't feel like I had the energy in me at that time to really contact them and ask them any questions.
You mentioned online interviews. They will check Jetney Publishing. I posted one today from Ada Quip Corner. That's a woman who does interviews for international audiences. And if your book is appropriate for that target, she's looking for 10 people to interview for her shows to be published this summer. So stay in touch. Somebody's got a place for you, but you have to be connected to get to them.
That's good, Miss Anna. Thank you for sharing that. The next thing we can do is leverage our media and PR. So we're going to get media coverage ads because they lend credibility. So you should have a public relations sheet. You should have a sheet that has a copy of the cover of your book, your picture, a little bio about you, a nice blurb about the book, and have that ready to always send. If you're looking to even get an interview with a company, with someone, send that with your interests, and then they'll let you know if yes and if they need anything else, because you may have already given them everything they need to get started in the process. They have your picture, they have your book cover, they have your brief bio, and they have the content about your book. They got your website because you're going to put that on there. If you're on different social platforms, that information is going to be on there. So you should already have ready what is needed. And guess what? You will need a different one of these for each of your books. One does not apply to all. So you need to have a different one for each book. Comment, Miss Anna?
Nope, just listening.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Also, to help leverage your media and your PR, I cannot stress enough, podcasts, get on podcasts, get on podcasts, do interviews, do interviews, do interviews. I am guilty of not doing much, and my answer is always, well, I'm doing so much for my clients. But guess what? I need to do something for me. I have almost 20 books under my name, okay, that I've done. I need to be publicizing my own content as well. So we need to get featured on shows that align. This is important. Not every podcast and every interview is a good fit. So make sure you know the person's show before you accept an invite for a podcast interview, okay? Or to be interviewed on their television, radio, or whatever. Because everything is not a good fit. They may not be a good fit for you. You may not be a good fit for them. But they might just be trying to get people on their show. So make sure you do your homework. Also, great opportunity, guest blogging. You can write articles on topics related to your book for popular blogs. There are oftentimes blogs in your genre that are looking for people to share content with them. That's an opportunity to get what? Your name out, to get some of your information out. So the action step for leveraging your media and your PR would be to create a press kit. Have your press kit prepared and ready. And make sure that the images have the correct pixels and that they are high quality images. Because if it's low quality, there's nothing that can be done with it. I had to send somebody's stuff back to them because the pictures, they just were not professional. And if I'm going to do a flyer, how could I put that on the flyer? I couldn't. So the things that I mentioned today for the launch itself. Remember, there's content for the pre launch. I talked today about the launch, and next week I'm going to talk about the post launch phase. So there's 3 phases, but there's several things under each phase that we must do to ensure that we are aligned correctly to get our content out. Comments, Miss Anna?
You mentioned the idea of getting the right images. That's one of the places that they may be able to consider using some of the AI platforms. Uh, ChatGTP doesn't always understand our first set of directions. But if you're patient enough to put in more information, they often offer, shall we do this? And say, I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't thought of that. And so that's one of the places that if you've got the time, you may be able to use some of the AI to create this publicity package that you were telling us about.
That's a great idea, Miss Anna. I was recently working on a book for someone and we had some thoughts about this cover. And I actually went into AI and I listed my parameters and I got a picture and they was like, okay, is this a good picture? Would you like to expand the color? They gave me options for tones and colors and things like that. And I think I got an overall good picture. Will I use the picture? No, but I got enough insight to help me build the picture that we want now based on perspective that AI was able to give me based on the information that I put in the system. So Miss Anna is correct. It take is listen, you can use the free portion of the AI chat GPT and you can get enough information to get started. I would say you don't have to pay for the next level. I'm working on getting there because I'm doing enough things now. But right now, I'm still looking at the free portion of the chat GPT. And I'm getting now you have limitations because in that day you can only put in but it's still quite a few things that you can put in before they tell you you have met your you've met the threshold for the day and come back the next day at this time. But I think it is beneficial, and we've talked about this. AI isn't going anywhere, so we have to find ways to utilize it efficiently to get effective outcomes. Final thought, Miss Anna?
The main thing you were mentioning is learning the language. Often the chat GTP will come back asking questions. How would you like me to modify this? Shall I do A, B, C, and D? And consequently, the next time you go in, you will have thought about those issues and include that in the initial instructions so that you don't reach your time limit every day, but coming out with an incomplete product.
That's right. So listen, y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining us today on the Talking All Things Books. Thank you, Miss Anna Roseboro, for coming in. She shared with us. Go back and check it out. She shared with us on the stream and what that acronym stands for. So check it out. If you have or know anyone who is a part of summer programs, after school programs, anything like that, Sunday schools, reach out to Miss Anna Roseboro, reach out to me, and we will make sure that you can get the information for the 6 sessions. 6 sessions, am I correct? 6 sessions on the stream that could be a viable tool in your summer programs and your summer Bible camps. All right. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. I like to say as we end, you are blessed to be a blessing. And if you serve King Jesus like I do, then you are supposed to be the visible manifestation of his invisible presence. I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.